Hey, excellent, excellent. Hi guys, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming here today. As you know, the UK Hypnosis Convention is a spectacular event. I can't praise it enough. It's like a complete weekend of continuing professional development for us. And then you get me. Oh dear. So we call this workshop No Worries, working effectively with fear-based disorders. And I like to pressurise myself. I perform better under pressure. I'm a former professional sportsman, and I'm used to people trying to hit me, making me perform under pressure. So I thought, what can I do to you guys, for you guys, to put me under pressure so I can perform a little bit better than I might this late on a Friday afternoon. So I'm doing a live Facebook feed. So you'll be able to find this on my Facebook page. I'm also videoing it as well. So if you're going to put it under pressure, let's do it live. I've performed live on television many, many times. However, I've not been worried about everybody watching. I've been too busy worrying about the person trying to hit me. It kind of helps you focus. You worry whether you look like a plum or not afterwards. But no worries, working with fear-based disorders. I suggest that the hypnotherapist amongst us, almost everyone who comes to see us will have anxiety as part of the reason, if not just pure anxiety. Number one, double check your flies are up. You got to check. But nothing worse than Facebook Live going out with the flies over. I was once on the tube train. We tried to get on there, and it was really busy. First thing, Farnborough going through to Waterloo, and it was standing room only. And I managed to get the very last seat, and then everyone piled in front of me. The worst possible person stood in front of me, a pregnant lady. I've been brought up correctly, so of course I stood up and said, please have my seat. And she sat there, and then I realised I couldn't grab hold of everything. So there I am with the lady sitting in front of me, going dugga-dung, 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 bouncing around. Next thing we hit a bit of a bump outside of Brookwood. Boom, back I go on the people behind me. The person I sat on was a bit annoyed. Everyone else found it quite funny because I started laughing. And I stood up and I'm there in front of this girl going, dugga-dung, and I said, what could happen now? She goes, it could be worse. What's that? She went, your flies are undone. Wasn't good. So I put myself under a little bit of pressure today, okay? But here's the thing, we can respond appropriately to pressure. In most of our physical development, mild stress is good. You want to lose weight? Mild stress. You want to have adaptations of physical performance? Mild stress, or acute stress with recovery. So I put myself under a bit of stress today just because I can. So, no worries, working with fear-based disorders. Disorders based on fear would be generally undue anxiety. Mild anxiety doesn't really, disrupt your life. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That goes in that mild stress level. Undue anxiety, things like worrying constantly, nerves, where adversity affects your life, that might be time to do something about it. We've also got phobias and panic, the more extreme versions of it. So we're going to go through those today, and very quickly where they'll fit into wider structures like post-traumatic stress disorder and also depression. Now, knowledge. Hopefully at the end of today you'll get to learn the difference between what fear is, anxiety, phobias, panic and stress. They're not all the same thing. If they're all the same thing, they'd use the same word, but they've got definitions. Definitions will vary depending on where you go to look for them. So I'm going to set the rules today, and I'm going to define them as we go today. We'll also learn the difference between an intrinsic survival pattern, what moods are, what feelings are, and what emotions are. Again, we quite regularly will interchange these terms, but they're not the same thing. They're slightly different. Again, depending on what emotion research you read, the terms will vary slightly. So again, I'll set the definitions. By setting the definitions, we're going to learn structure. I can't fix a car. I don't know how cars work. I'll go to a mechanic for that. Now, I'm a mechanic of the mind. I work with people's minds. I know the mechanics of the mind. I know the structure, making it really easy to work with. I don't know the mechanics of my car. The actual engineer, the mechanic in the garage does. He knows quite simply how to fix it. There's the classic story of the little Jamaican guy, and I won't do the accent because it's been recorded. The classic, it's probably told in every industry, but the little guy with a hammer, and there's a cargo boat in Jamaica, and it can't leave because the engine's broken. It's leaving $10,000 a day. So they call in the local guy. This little old fella turns up with a hammer. Says, who are you? I'm the boat fixer. Well, what are you going to do? Fix the boat. How much do you charge? $10,000. Hey? I'll go on, give him a go then. So he goes on the boat and he walks around, he taps with his hammer and listens. Taps with his hammer and listens. After about an hour, the owner's about to throw him off the boat. And then he taps with the hammer, listens. Taps with the hammer, listens again. Boom. Start the boat. It works. Hey? Start the boat. It works. They fire it up. Of course, now boats sound like cars. Do cars sound like that anyway? The boat fires up. And they're like amazed. Fantastic. And he goes, here's my bill. And they say, we're not paying $10,000 for a tap of the hammer. He went, no, he said. Tapping the hammer, that's $1. Knowing where to tap, that's the rest. Then we've got Howard. Where's Howard? Is Howard in there? Howard, you've let me down. Howard Cooper with Rapid Change Works. If you know where you can tap with the hammer, you can get rapid change. Knowing where to tap with a hammer, you kind of need to know the structure to be most effective in your work. So we're going to set the structure to give the knowledge. We're then going to look to how to work with fear clients. There's a reason, thanks to a very good friend of mine, a guy called Andrew T. Austin. Follow his work, he's really good. He was a big part at the start of my career, and he helped guide me in a way of thinking all the way through. And he taught me something in a really old anxiety lecture. And basically, the guy had been stuck inside his house for 20 years, and he came down to see me, took three guys, three big guys, 2 phone calls to be stuck in his house for 20 years because chronic panic attacks and anxiety. Came down within 10 minutes, he couldn't find his anxiety. I did the one thing that all the other therapists hadn't done. Thanks, Andy. Andrew T. Austin taught me the one little technique that got the result. And I did exactly the same as everyone else afterwards. So we're going to learn how to work effectively with clients with fear-based disorders. And we're going to learn effective intervention delivery. Okay, structure. I want you guys to think, I'm going to run through this as quick as I can because we're on limited time and there's so much to go through. So straight in, it's a cut down version of the therapy protocol I presented last year. Think of yourselves as biomechanical stimuli response machines. I kick you in the shin, you'll respond. You've learned to respond. So we respond to the incoming stimuli coming around us. I like that stimuli. For those who don't know Alan Partridge, he was once in a garage, wasn't he? He said, oh, you've got a Lexus. I've got a Lexus. That makes 2 Lexi. So we respond to the stimuli, the constant bombardment of senses coming in. How many senses have we got?
27.
27. How many? Oh, God. Now you're going to get me counting. We normally get taught there's 5. It was Aristotle, 350 years BC, that said we have 5 senses. It still gets taught in schools today. For example, we've got balance, which way up we are compared to gravity. Our speed and direction of movement. Proprioception, our body's position in space and time. I know where I am. I know the board is. Kind of makes it easier for me to point. We've got chemical receptors. We've got temperature receptors. We've got a lot more than 5 senses. But our brains, our cognition is being bombarded with all this sensory input from the environment around us coming in and the environment inside us coming up, all going through our cognition. Now, behaviour is how we move through time and space. It's how we move through our external environment and how we move through our internal environment. Behaviour is how we move through time and space. An intervention, as we will learn, is designed to change behaviour. An intervention changes movement. It changes our internal and external movement. So all these stimuli are coming in. The perception, study perception, guys. What we do as hypnotists, how we make people invisible and stuff. Study perception. The stimuli is coming in. It then forms our perception of that stimuli. And because of nature plus nurture, it dictates the response. The response includes physiological changes in the body, which then feeds back to the brain. So we're constantly responding to the stimuli from the environment around us. We're therefore biomechanical stimuli response machines, and we've learned to have that response. We've learned to have that response through 2 things. Good old nature and nurture on top. Now, see that there? You know what that is? That's inception. Sammy sperm, float the egg, so it happened. 1 cell combined, splits, 2, 4, 6, 4, 8, 16, 32, 6. Oh, I'm getting confused. They multiply, don't they? Quickly forming our neurology, brain, spinal cord, peripheral nervous system, fleshing this out. Cells combine to form tissues, organs, organ systems, me, the living organism. Hey, it's me. So we develop quite nicely through time. Think of every cell like frog spawn. They're not shaped like frog spawn, but just for ease of explanation, in a very short space of time. It's got a membrane around the outside, jelly on the inside, cytoplasm, something rather important in the middle. No, it's not a tadpole. That would just be too cool. It's the nucleus. In the nucleus is a bit that everyone tends to overcomplicate. For simplicity, think of DNA as nothing more than an instruction set, a user guide, telling all the little factory units, telling the cell and all the little factory units in the cell how to behave. These all combine to form us, living organisms. Therefore, our initial behaviour is guided thanks to our DNA, guided from our bodies. Every DNA wants the cells to do one thing, which of course is to be happy. And it wants us to be happy in the most efficient possible way. And I describe every cell in the human body as being male, because us men, highly efficient. Hey. My girlfriend Stacey would say, Gary, can you do the washing up? I'm like, sure. 10 minutes later, how come we didn't do the drying up? You didn't ask me. I'm efficient. Ladies, all right, lazy and simple. But we're always looking for the easiest way of making us happy. Okay? So that's why sometimes we'll carry out behaviour in the short term, chocolate, without seeing the long-term consequences. Tubby lard ass, old spots. I should have eaten that. Yeah, nice after the event, isn't it? Yeah, guys, we always have one too many beers, don't we? Ladies, one more wine o'clock, perhaps. Yeah. Seems like a good idea at the time until the dogs wake you up the next morning, and then it's, oh, bugger, I've got to go running with the Huskies. In fact, I was busy at the start of the week. I was flying to France for a Formula E racing team, electronic version of Formula 1. So my Husky's been in the kennels. Otherwise, I would have had the Huskies in there because I use them as therapy dogs. They are the best anxiety relief ever. I'd also come here with fur. Okay, so our bodies dictate our behaviour. The cells, thanks to DNA, start our behaviour. Then we get born. Yep, I can remember being born. Get used to it, kid. That's like, I've just turned up. You're hitting me. What's that about? It's terrible. You're talking baby. You probably deserved it. Now, thinking about it, childhood is really traumatic. Okay, it's really traumatic because you get, you're nice and comfortable. Yeah, like this. A little bit of music, a little bit of chat. Someone's talking to me again. Food down a pipe. Oh yes, it's kind of like the ultimate male, isn't it? Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, efficient living. But then we're out. The first thing they do is torture us by not just hitting us, then they cut our food off. And for the first time in our life, we're hungry. So we fire the automatic motor pattern of distress. Yeah? So when we're born, we get the emergence of behaviour, all thanks to the way our DNA works. Okay, the first emergence of that behaviour. Mum comes along, nom, 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 have some food. When the baby's had enough, sticks its tongue out, rejects the nipple. Go and have some more. Go and have some more. Baby starts turning its head. And you're getting the emergence of the tongue out for rejection and that for no. If you put something in the palm of the hand, of a baby's hand for the first time, you get the emergence of the grip reflex. That's obviously kind of changed to be a bit more useful than just gripping the mother's hair. Interestingly, 8 to 10 times stronger if it detects hair. Kind of from our hairier, more mammalian, kind of hairy, apish kind of past, when the child would cling to the mother as we move through the environment. I was going to make a joke then, but I like to live. So we get the first emergences of our behaviour. Okay, so to start with, all of our behaviour is dictated by our body. As part of this, we have various intrinsic survival patterns. Intrinsic survival patterns. The negative ones. I'm male, I'm highly efficient. I'll use Paul Ekman's original 6, not Revised 17, definitely not Panksepp's 36. I can make my point with 6, and I'm male, highly efficient. So he's got negatives, he's got 6. You've got 4 negatives. You've got fear, the intrinsic survival pattern of fear. We've also got anger. We've got disgust, and we've got sadness. We've also got the positive, joy. And we've got the one in the middle that I call the WTF response. Surprise. The negatives make us tense up, close off, have a physiological effects on our body of moving us away from the negative effect. The positive relaxes us, opens us up, and moves us towards the positive effect. Move away from the negative, move towards the positive. Emotion, energy in motion, motivation, motion through emotion, and you're partway there, carrot and stick. So fear, thanks to nature, is an intrinsic motor pattern. As we go through life, we have various experiences. These are our memories. I call it experiences because it's kind of like, it's nice and all sort of encompassing. So these are our memories, memories of the past, retrospective memories. All they are past stimuli response points. It's a husky. Ha! The first time I saw a husky, obviously, I've attached a great emotion to huskies. Hence why they are the favourite animal on the planet. Unless they're shedding fur everywhere. Okay, we have episodic memories, little details of our lives start combining to form autobiographical memories, the movies of our lives. We've got procedural memories, our skill set for me, punching and kicking, tying shoelaces, typing, obviously failing to write that well, as you'll see. In my haste, it gets a bit illegible later on. And we've also got the other one. Knowledge base. Okay, all of these are past memories. All they are is past stimuli responses. So much so, when we recall that memory and it reconstructs in our mind, mixing with the current state of mind and body, it fires in neurology, brain, spinal cord, peripheral nervous system, perhaps mobilizing us through our environment. At the same time, internally, it releases hormones. Think of hormones as directors that float around the bloodstream and say, "Hi, enzyme, Mr. Manager, get to do some work." So the managers go, "All right," and they kick the molecules to combine together to store energy or break apart and release energy, create internal movement. So when we recall a memory of the past, when we have stimulus in the present, that reminds us of that time in the past, it fires your external movement and your internal movement. It mobilizes you through your environment. So all we are biomechanical stimuli response machines. So let's make it a little bit more relevant to anxiety disorders. So who's afraid of spiders? Couple are. Okay, there might be a time when you were 3 and a spider ran across your face and you didn't know what it was, so you freaked. You might have seen your mother freak out, thought, "Oh, be afraid of spiders like mum." Observational learning. You might be a very incredibly intelligent 3-year-old and read a bit of newspaper saying 99% of people are afraid of spiders. Thought, I wonder if that's me, and created it all on your own. So you freak. Some people would call that an ISE, initial sensitizing event. The next time you experience a spider, it fires the memory trace of that previous time. So guess what? You freak. The next time fires of the previous time, which was built off that first time. So well done. You have that little phobic response or fear response. And then again. And so you would experience it in the present. There we have it. You freak in the present. Now, the future. The future are your expectations. Again, my word. They're actually future memories. Prospective memories. Memories of the future. And what they are future stimuli response points. For example, you'll remember to come in today. You put something in the future that said, at this point in time, I will respond like that. In sport, we'll call it mental rehearsal. I was working with the drivers on Tuesday morning, doing mental rehearsal. It was quite funny seeing them lay down, because I didn't realise how quite low and flat they lay down when they're in the car. And you can see their little flippers going, their little steering wheel going, and their feet going. And I'm like, wow, this is the closest I'm going to get to going at 200 miles an hour with my arse about 2 inches from the floor. It was amazing. These guys were calm as anything. It was pretty incredible to see. I was privileged to be there. In hypnosis, we call it post-hypnotic suggestion. I might do a stage performance. I might be Martin, but not doing a Martin show. I guess he Martin's word does stage a little bit differently how I like it done. But I might have, say, classical hypnosis, guy up on stage, eyes closed, relaxed, standing up. Okay, not down the road. I say 1, 2, and click my fingers, the cliche. Your eyes will open, you feel great, you go back to the audience. But every time I say the word hypnosis, you will jump out of your seat and shout, there is no such thing as hypnosis. 1, 2, how do you feel? Of course you do. Off he goes. Thanks everybody for a wonderful night of hypnosis. There's no such thing as hypnosis. That's right. Think about it, stimuli response. 3 responses, eyes open, feel good, back to the audience. Hypnosis, stimuli, there's no such thing as hypnosis. Response. There you go, you just learned about post-hypnotic suggestions. But here's the thing, nature is a bit of a tosser. Can't get away from it, because as this little person here, because he's little, isn't he? As he's little here, he imagines seeing a spider or sensing a spider in the future. 2 things happen. It fires the memory trace of the past. So, oops, he's going to freak. Also, he's putting the future stimuli response point in of him freaking as well. Double whammy. Thanks, nature. Bit of a tosser. Oh dear. Okay, let's start making it a little bit more complicated now. So, post-traumatic stress disorder. Instead of the ISE being someone with a spider, there might have been a soldier stuck on the battlefield, frozen in a spot, unsure what happened, that learned helplessness of, what am I going to do? Traumatic event unfolding, heavy emotion kicking in, really embedding it, really firing all those connections. Ebb's law, neurons that fire together, wire together, and it's wired together very, very strongly. And then he's back after only 24 hours, whatever they give you in Cyprus, and he's back suddenly, he's walking back in Civvy Street the day before, or basically 36, 48 hours before he's shooting on the battlefield. Yeah, what we're doing to our soldiers, let's give them a bit of support, eh? And he's back in order shot, the car backfires, bang! That fires the memory trace of the gunshot of that traumatic event. All the flashbacks start happening, he starts reliving it. It immobilises his physical body on the outside through the environment. It immobilises into, he dies for cover behind a bush. At that point in time, it might be raining. As it's raining, the next time it rains, that might fire off the memory from before when it rains. And all the flashbacks from the time before start coming through. And the more times those memory traces fire, because memories are reconstructive, we bring them up off deep storage, we mix them in a current state of mind and body, and they get saved back in that changed state. Think of every memory you've got as being like a Word document. You call it off the hard drive, you make a couple of changes, save it back in that changed state. Okay, so more and more things start setting off those memory traces. So fear causes us to tense up, close off, and move away from that negative effect. It creates avoidance behaviour. We start not going out when it's raining, not going out when it's fireworks, not going out when there's a guy with a transit van annoyingly toggling if you want to backfire a transit van, just toggle the ignition on and off a few times, it backfires quite nicely. He stops going out all those times. So he starts staying in his little house. And then the hypervigilancy might start where he's double checking the windows, doesn't want the outside to come in. And then he starts the OCD behaviour. Did I check the window? Yeah, I've checked it. Did I check the window? Yeah, I've checked it. And then he's alone inside his house. As he's thinking about going out, he's firing his memory traces. And he's putting more things in the future. Things are starting to get really bad, so he turns to drink, drugs, whatever. It never ends well. Okay, and you can see straight away there how PTSD can become a problem. The key thing, of course, is the moment that they have a traumatic event, deal with it so we don't get the disordered behaviour. Just a thought. So, all we are, think of ourselves as biomechanical stimuli response machines. Stimuli come in, goes through our cognition. Because of the way our bodies work, if it's the first emergence of our behaviour, or because of our past experiences, combined with the future expectations, we've learnt to have that response. Fires up our body, tensing us up, closing us off, moving us away from the negative, relaxing us, opening us up, and moving us towards the positive. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, there's a difference between fear, which is an intrinsic survival pattern, moods, emotions, and feelings. I use these definitions because they make it very useful for us to work with. Stimuli comes in, spider, goes through our cognition, it cross-references the memories. It's a spider, creating a fear response. That creates these changes in our body. Firstly, with fear, we have digestive tract disruption. We may pee, poop, or puke. I went to the loo a couple of times before coming in, obviously. I was a bit anxious about all these leading peers staring back at me. Put myself under more pressure on Facebook Live, because why not? Why not? You know, it's like a Justin Trance, good friend of mine, a crazy American hypnotist. He's definitely Marmite. Yeah, Americans, go get some Marmite. It'd be funny watching you eat it. Yeah, I love Marmite personally. Okay, but he's got this thing, dare to fail. Hey, you know something? Put it out there. Hi, guys. Okay, it's also good marketing for the UK Hypnosis Convention, because you guys rock. I want to give back to you guys giving back to me. It's awesome. Everyone here, of course, giving our time for free. Yeah, sure, we might have upsell products and stuff. I didn't bring any, did I? No, we just do it for free. Yeah, it's fun. You're sharing it. We learn off each other. Okay, we learn our strengths and weaknesses. Oh, IBS, better go to Helen Bremner. Oh, I'm just going to kids. Where's Kelly? Kelly's helped me out with kids. I'm great with kids now, only thanks to Kelly's input. Yeah, seek out the leading peers who are experts in their own little field and go, what can I learn from you? How can I learn to be better? It's cool. So basically, so we have disruptive tract issues. We pee, we poop, and we puke. As a kickboxer, I used to be peeing all the time before I competed. Carly-Ann Lamb, brilliant points kickboxer, should actually puke. And have a bucket with her, not just for the spit or anything like that, but for puke. I've never come across a pooper until a couple of weeks ago when I did in the flesh. But there is, if anyone's seen the film Creed, Apollo Creed's son's just about to go out for the big fight. Quick, get my gloves off. Why? I mean, shit. What? You about to go out and fight? You going to wipe it? Get his gloves off. Yeah. We have digestive tract disruption. We pee, poop, and puke. Okay. We want to go from storage mode to using mode. Think about it like that. Not only that, we have arrhythmia, irregular heartbeat, and irregular breathing. Yeah, our bodies will tense up, close off. We'll have vascular constriction on the extremities. So if we get cut, we won't bleed too much, just enough to keep the wound clean and no more. Vascular deconstriction of the main veins and arteries to help pump the blood and all the substrates that are being released as cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline start pumping around the body. We're getting ready for action. It's a spider, Gary. I don't care. I'm getting ready for action. As we fire it through. So we have these. Every emotion, every survival pattern has got its own, almost like physiological fingerprints. Okay, anxiety in particular comes with a digestive tract disruption and the arrhythmia. If you remember those two things, digestive tract disruption and arrhythmia, you're so well placed to work with the body. It feeds back to the brain, which then can create more of the response, which creates more of the body, and it can sort of quite catastrophically explode into a panic attack. Or indeed, if it happens very quickly, a phobic reaction, the extreme reaction to the stimulus. Up in the brain. Now, oh, by the way, when this is happening at a low level in the background, these little fears and things like fear, anger, disgust, sadness, or joy or surprise happening in the background at a low level, that's what we can call mood. So when it's happening at a low level, we can call that a mood. That gets mood out of the way. So we've got intrinsic survival pattern, then we've got mood. These are the key ones, though. If we put focus and attention on our experience, we become aware of two things. What's going on in our body and what's going on in our mind. Then we start having what's known as this subjective experience. Awareness of the state of our body, that's what we call feelings, or what we can call feelings. Hunger, that's a feeling coming up from the body, might lead to hangry, an emotion. If I kick you in the shin again, I'm just picking on you. If I kick you in the shin again, your leg will detect heat and pressure. It'll go up the brain to the corresponding part of the spinal cord, up to the brain, the signal. That's the signal. You might not feel pain. Kickboxers, for example, we don't feel pain. We'll crack shin on shin and not feel pain. We know it's not going to hurt us. We only experience pain, by the way, when the brain believes the body's under threat. Here's a thought. Why should childbirth be painful? It's the most natural thing that we're designed to do. Why should it be painful? Yeah, pops out, not just that, the child needs its mum straight away. What do we do with hypnobirthing? Oh yeah, take away the pain, change it to sensations, things like that. Just some ideas for you. So, these are feelings. Feelings is awareness of the state of the body. We can become aware of the digestive tract disruption. We can become aware of the racing heart and the breathing. So heart attack, yeah, oh, those butterflies. That's awareness of the state of the body. We can call those feelings. Up in the brain, we also have the thoughts. We have the self-talk. We have the images and movies that fire. Those that self-talk, we can call that nerves and worry. Worry would be Lucy, for example. Where's Lucy? Lucy over there, where someone drops out, and it's like, oh no, what if Nick gives me a shout and says I've got 2 days now to do a workshop? Nerves was me just before this. Self-talk leading to anxiety about something I've got to do. Yeah? Little difference between nerves and worry. Worry is about something that may not happen. Nerves about something that will happen. Again, it's quite nice to define things in a certain way. Various places define things differently. But here at least you've got a working model. Working model, you've got a working structure. Once you've got structure, easy to tap with a hammer. So, only when we're aware of the state of our mind and the state of our body, we have that subjective experience. That's what we call an emotion. If you want to learn more about emotion, I heavily recommend that you study Damasio, Ledoux and Panksepp. All three leading emotion researchers, all resonate with me on different levels. More Ledoux for me. Jules A. Lalonde, one of my mentors, he really resonates with Panksepp, which is kind of like almost a polar opposite, but they all blend together in the middle, which is nice because he provides balance for my Ledoux. I'll put him higher than me, which means he's probably right. You just noticed that? Yeah, no gestures random. Yeah. Jules, if you watch this, yeah, Panksepp's right. Seeking, avoidance, ability. But yeah, study those three. You want to start learning about physiological reactions. Look to Ekman first. So his FACS, facial access coding system. It's a little bit under dispute in a certain neurology book recently, but they're studying the physiological effects of emotion and not the physiological effects of fear, the microexpressions that start first before we then start to interpret it. Worth having a little look at it and the diversion. So we've got the difference between those. The reason why I put those up is because we can work with the body, somatic approaches. Somatic approaches might be beta blockers. If you're the doctor, I'm really relaxed. Now I can't get the anxiety response. I start going through life completely monged out. Now all those things where in the past I'd be anxious, now the new memory is me being monged out in them, relaxed in them. So it then dissolves, it systemized desensitization that way. I say why take beta blockers when, especially as half of us have been trained in relaxer therapy, we know how to relax someone really, really well. Yeah, why not just teach them relaxation to go through it instead? Just the thoughts. So we can work with the body, tapping. Exercise is great because after exercise you're knackered, your body's relaxed. Expose yourself to spider after a tough kickboxing personal training session with me. Trust me, you won't freak out the spider. You'll ask the spider to help to get you into the car. Yeah? So relax them. We've also got ways of working with cognition, of course, the psych, mental rehearsal, guiding the imagination. Every psychological intervention is exactly the same. All we do, remember this, and life gets easy in therapy. All we do is get people to imagine shit differently. Yeah, it's a spider. Now it's a spider. Well, kiss me quick, hat, pink spotted wellies. You're so cool, spider. Same spider, same reality. We move through reality. How we experience it is just a subjective experience of it. So let's start imagining shit how we want to. My language. I'm not. Is Melissa in here? No, good. I'm trying out potty mouth Melissa tears. I'll fail miserably. It's like discussing neurology with him. She's got a higher neurology level. She's got a higher potty mouth as well. Okay, so breaking it down now. We can work with the brain and we can work with the body, or we can work with the mind or the body. Yet, if we work with the body, we'll automatically work with the mind. If we work with the mind, we'll automatically work with the body. Following through. So. I won't use that one again. So, as we go through, okay, the pattern of a fear-based disorder. We go through time. There's a certain stimulus or stimuli that we've attached a response to, creating the fear response, the emotion of which would be anxiety. We go through time, and there's an imagined stimuli. We imagine seeing that stimuli, which will be anticipatory anxiety response. We can go through time, and then we can have a stimuli or imagined stimuli and have an extreme response. Yeah, I was going to test a sort of jump up, but my hip's a bit bad. Jump up and do like there's a mouse. Jump up on a chair kind of response. That kind of extreme response. Panic when that feedback loop feeds back, and you have panic. Okay. Worth noting that with all negative emotions, and especially with anxiety, our focus and attention goes on the source of a threat. If a hungry lion comes in the room right now, there it is. If a hungry lion comes in the room right now, firstly, we won't be afraid of the hungry lion. I'm not afraid of a single person or a single animal. I am afraid of what a lot of people and what a lot of animals might do to me in the future. So you won't be afraid of the hungry lion. You lot will be afraid of the hungry lion eating you. I'll be afraid I can't get out that door before you. Okay, I've planned this stuff. Well, I hadn't, because that's where the door was. So we'll tense up, we'll close off, and we'll move away. As such, when the hungry lion comes in the room, you wouldn't be noticing me bugging out the back door. Your focus and attention will be on the source of the threat. Does that make sense? So, very quickly, where it fits inside post-traumatic stress disorder is slightly adapted from an Andrew Austin, highly recommended PTSD course. I slightly adjusted from an Andrew Austin model. You go through time. There's a traumatic event. And then you've got the post-time to now, and then the time in the future, as you imagine the future. On the run-up to this traumatic event, you've got your actions, your behaviour, how you've moved through your environment, which is combined with others and the environment to conspire to this traumatic event. Okay? I'm not saying that you're responsible for your trauma. I'm just saying it's molecules in motion. You just happen to be moving the environment at that point in time when the meteorite decided to come through the Earth's atmosphere and strike you. Yeah? Forrest Gump said it, didn't he? Shit, it happens. Yeah? We're not responsible for everything. Okay? But you've got your actions leading up to that event. You've got the actions of others leading to it. You've then got the time past. It's the way that you've responded. The potential disordered behaviour as a result. But that disordered behaviour isn't just going to be yours. One element that most people working in post-traumatic stress disorder ignore or forget or don't know about is the way that it affects others too. So when I work with a PTSD client, we take away the emotion and desensitize initial trauma. We use various approaches to help them with the disordered behaviour. I also teach them to actually work with the people whose disordered behaviour they've created as a result of their behaviour. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. A lot of the time, they don't want things to go wrong in the future. So they get anxious about the future. What if this happens? What if that happens? And such like. Does that make sense? So, what have we got over here? What have we got over here? Again, thanks to Andrew Austin. It seems to fit. In fact, it has fit with every depressed client I've put this to. As they think about the future, they have anxiety. The what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? They don't know the rules. As they don't know the rules, in the present, there's more likely to be a personal rule break. A personal rule break is anger, which you'll commonly respond to as frustration, anger held within, temper. Uncontrolled, externally directed as rage. Go green, burst out of your clothes, Hulk smash and that kind of thing. That's the response. That's not anger. Anger is a personal rule break. We don't have to respond with frustration, temper and rage. Me, I go calm, I get even. Okay, so normally when we have an anger response, we might overreact. So as we think about the past, we might have a bit of guilt, shame, regret, remorse, a bit of embarrassment, a bit of sadness for personal loss. Oh, damn, done that. I hope it doesn't happen in the future, therefore fueling anxiety. So anxiety leads to anger, leads to negatives about the past, leads to anxiety, and you've got this continued loop. Negative emotions help you fixate on the negative. As they fixate on the negative, unfortunately, all you do is find more negatives. You can prime to look for it. So what you have is a continued low mood. Continued low mood is depression. You've got a depressed client. But if you take out the anxiety, there's going to be no anger. If you take out the anger, there's going to be no guilt, shame, regret, remorse, or embarrassment. Take that out, there's going to be no anxiety. And you've got three little key things to work. If you work with anxiety, those, Andy used to call it 3 pillars model, where one pillar supports the other. They'll collapse quite nicely. Okay, moving forward. How do we work with clients? Well, one, we get them to come to see us by getting results. But 5 key things to therapeutic success. 1, the therapeutic relationship. Can I work with you? Can you work with me? Can you actually follow my instructions? Can I actually give the instructions in such a way that you understand? Therapeutic relationship. With a big nod to Adam Eason's spectacular first session on placebo and nocebo, we look to increase placebo, the strong power of the positive mind. Create the belief they can change, they will change. It can be easy, it's just a tap of the hammer. Now let's explore it and find where we need to tap. Give them hope. We've got removal of nocebo. Someone said, I've got to learn to live with this. Nice touch, that's the nocebo. You know, guy came down all the way down from Leeds, 20 years, been stuck inside his house, never had any problems. 10 minutes, he couldn't access any anxiety. I'm going to show you how it's done, because I know you won't believe me with that, but trust me, you don't have to live with anxiety. Remove that nocebo. We've then got something called natural reversion. Some shit just gets better on its own. The very fact that a person's identified that they want to change and has taken steps to seek you out and then come to see you generally means that we're already quite in a good place for the change to take place. Let's face it, by the time a client comes to see us, our work is nearly done. The hard clients, the ones that don't even know they need to change. Okay, so we've got 5 key things. We've got therapeutic relationship. We've got increased placebo. Remove nocebo. Allow for natural reversion. Take credit where it's due. Make it up. It's me. Yeah. Vitamin C, by the way, does nothing after you've got a cold. But the amount of people who take vitamin C and say, vitamin C solved my... No, your body just works at that rate, and it just comes to coincide with the fact you're taking vitamin C at that time. It does help. If you've got the right levels, it does help to stave it off in the first place. Once you've got it, taking vitamin C actually doesn't do anything. Natural reversion, allow for it. The last one, it's the true magic of sessions. Hebb's law gets shortened to neurons that fire together, wire together. The way that we learn, neurons that fire together, wire together. Our neurons fire, brain, body, spinal cord, peripheral nervous system. As it fires, we then go and do something different, and it might, if the connections were strong enough, wire together in the background. And the more times it fired, the more times we're allowed to wire, the stronger it gets. Okay, that's why Ledoux, in his book Anxious, highly recommended, Ledoux Anxious, Ledous, and anxious, or was it anxiety? I think it's anxious. He recommends 6 hours would be an optimum time for an anxiety session, including the sleep in the middle. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really want clients sleeping at my house. I work from my home. I do it so my clients are relaxed. They get to meet the huskies. Well, coffee, yeah, cool. I'm relaxing them. If their body's relaxed, whatever negative they come with is already starting to be desensitized by the fact they're relaxed. Yeah, besides, I don't have to go to work. That's great. Yeah, everything's there right on my doorstep, no travel time. So I can't remember where I was going with that now, I've got thrown. So head to the newest party, get a wife together. Ledoux, Anxious, 6 hours of sleep. I do 2-hour sessions. I get better success from a single 2-hour session than I used to from 4 to 8 1-hour sessions. Host of neurological and psychological reasons. One, the more times we get something to fire, the stronger it wires. We can test, fire some more, refine, adjust, future pace, set those prospective memories in the future. That's on the sheet on the floor now. Set the future expectations of getting things right. We can really work hard. We can really, for those that know, like Sam, make the bee-bums wiggle in the right direction. Study the hive mind and bee-bums wiggling. Honestly, bee-bums communicate, and it's awesome fun. And look how they communicate. Look at bees and the bee-bums. I can see a bee shaking their ass. But we want it to fire in our favour. We want the neurology to fire in our favour. Where? When the stimuli come in, the excitatory inhibitory nature of the brain, the neurons, fires to dictate the right response. Calm, control, rational, logical mind. In the most efficient, male obviously, lazy and simple way. So, 5 key things. Work with your clients. You need to be able to work with your clients. You need to increase placebo, remove nocebo, allow for some stuff just to get ready on it, gets better on its own, natural reversion, and the true artful application of science, Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together, wire together. That client that came all the way down from Leeds with 3 big guys to pile him in a car, and it's about 2 hours of phone calls to actually get him down there. He was freaking out on the way. Got in there. All I did, thanks to Andy Austin, rolled up bit of paper, straight from hand to hand. Contralateral stimulation. That's not conducive to the same state of anxiety. Nice big hand movements across the body, throwing the ball from hand to hand. I then got him to take his anxiety away by throwing the ball from hand to hand. I then got him to think about it and figure it back up again. I got him to throw the ball again, goes down, gets it up again, throws the ball, gets it up again, throws the ball. Doesn't go up as high that time. Let's try something as well. So he's throwing the ball from hand to hand. Now what he does, I get him to look up as he does it, engage in the frontal lobe, not normally part of the anxious brain scan. So he's throwing the ball hand to hand, looking up. Okay, now I get him to put his tongue on the roof of the mouth. All of you, get some self-talk going in your head. I don't know, just think something like, Gary's a Muppet, over and over again. As you do so, put your tongue hard on the roof, firmly on the roof of your mouth. Notice what happens to the self-talk. For most of you, it'll either deaden or even switch off completely. The reason being, when we hold a thought in our minds, if it involves a motor movement, the motor cortex fires up. The motor cortex only hold one thought in mind at once. Therefore, as the motor cortex, as we hear in a word in our head, fires up the tongue, the lips, the jaw, the throat, the palate, everything that generates speech, it doesn't quite fire right if it's trying to hold the tongue on the roof of the mouth as well, and therefore deadens the self-talk. So we can get him to throw the ball hand to hand, looking up, tongue on the roof of the mouth, okay? Or what I do with most clients is they tell me about the problem as little Max has lent into them, little Dr. Max Husky. Have a look at him on Facebook. He's so cute. He's my snuggle dog. Can take over the world, one husky kiss and smile at a time. Yeah, loves his snuggles. Now they've got contralateral and it's something soft and he's snuggling, he loves them. They're feeling good. Oh, that feels good. And they're looking up at me and telling me about it. They're already dissolving their anxiety state. So basically, I took his anxiety away just through that. Then he could follow my intervention. I used Nick Kemp, Google this, Nick Kemp voice tempo intervention. I slowed his voice, 2 minutes of that intervention. That on anticipating anxiety, Nick Kemp's voice tempo, where you slow the self-talk, has never let me down. Okay, it's really, really good. Couldn't get the anxiety back. It changed the way that it thinks. What happens now? Oh, it's talking calmly. Get the anxiety back. I can't. Think about all the times where, in the past, you had anxiety. And what happens now as you think about it? Oh, I'm thinking about it. calmly. Oh, well, think about some time in the future where in the past you used to freak out. I can't. I'm okay. What have you done? Exactly the same as everyone else got you to do, only I made sure that you could follow my instructions first. It's very hard to work with a client if they're not following your instructions. So the first thing I did was train my client to listen, make the job easy. What I also do is teach the client what I've just taught you guys, and a little bit more we'll come on to. That way they're informed. Anxiety is about the future, the unknown that might cause them harm. So they tense up, close them off, and move away from it. They look to avoid that harm. It's for their protection. I've given them knowledge and information. Oh, that's not a heart attack. It's just a physiological reaction. That's why I want to go wee. That's why I want to poop and puke. Yeah, that's why my body tenses up. That's why I don't want to go. Yes, that's right. You've just attached this to it. I get it now. Sometimes that can be just enough to actually solve the anxiety. Taking it further, if you start explaining that anxiety is there for your protection, therefore I'm here in front of you lot and you lot speaking. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? Because I can, right? Here's a thought, okay? Kelly will tell you she's a sports person with her karate. Here's a thought, okay? We're a sportsman. Sports performance is not based on getting things right. It's based on getting things wrong, then correcting it and moving forward stronger. So I'm not really... When I quit my sports career, I had a successful sports career, 13 world titles, 3 different fight sports, British team at 4th sport. I like to compete. It was fun. Afterwards, I started doing ultramarathons. Why? Because I could. Yeah, it's just like to reaffirm that I can push myself to the limit. So at the moment, I've got a hip injury, so I'm missing out on my ultras this year. I've got to find some way of pushing myself. I put myself under more pressure. Why not? You guys can throw things at me as well so I can dodge. Really put me under pressure. So the knowledge of what we're doing is important. The 5 key things. Okay. You notice I left a little gap with a diversion. Hebb's law, neurons and fire together, wire together. I'll let you fire with that, then it wired. Now I'm repeating it. 5 key things. Therapeutic relationship. Work with your client. Calm them down so they can work with you. Train them to be able to work with you. Can't work with a client unless they can work with you. We're the professionals. We need to empower ourselves. If a client can't work with you, that's our fault. Empower yourself. Make it your fault. Think, what do I need to do to engage this client? Get it on there. Increase placebo. Decrease nocebo. Remove nocebo. Allow for natural reversion. Take credit for it. Why not? We can. Okay. And the true magic, Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Fire, fire, fire. Repeat it, repeat it. Train the client to work with you. Give them information. Train them what's going on. Ah, that's why. I understand it now. Cool. Then we can deliver the interventions quite simply. Very simply. Repeat them as many times as you can. Fire and wire it. And test, 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 and test some more. The more times it fires, the more times it wires. Okay? Coursera.org. Coursera.org. Learning to Learn is a free course on Coursera.org. It will teach you the practical applications with the understanding of the latest neurology on how we learn. It's an exceptional course. I was really pleased because I was getting most of it right. That's why I turned into a geek. It also refined a little bit, made me even more of a geek. Yeah, and gave me the understanding of why some of the stuff that I did actually works. Really, really cool. You want to short circuit it, get the language app Duolingo, because it uses exactly the same. You'll see exactly what I mean. So we test, test, test. Every intervention is getting a client to imagine shit differently. It's a spider. It's a spider. Doesn't matter how complicated we want to make it. Yes, that part of your personality comes out of that one, and that one, and that one. Oh, what can you learn from each other? He wants you to be happy. He wants... Oh, look, they magically flow together. We're getting to imagine shit differently. Break it down to that. If you never, ever want to be stuck working with a client, just remember, they just need to imagine what they need to imagine. Yeah? So, somebody needs to let go of something, whatever it could be from the past. I will say, let go of it. Imagine little Elsa suddenly pops up and starts singing, let it go, let it go. And with my singing voice, you let go of it really quick. Or the Rock, Dwayne Johnson pops up. It doesn't matter. And just let it go that way. Or the Rock could play Elsa. Let it go, let it go. Or Elsa could play the Rock. It doesn't matter. Enough of singing, Gary. Enough of singing. Or imagine on your shoulders, we can shrug it off so it falls down behind you. Tie it to the bottom of a helium balloon. Watch it float off to the left and behind you, further and further away until it's gone. Imagine in front of you and a huge fat elephant comes on, sits on it, Monty Python style. Imagine what you need to imagine to let it go now. Me and Kelly had some little Facebook pics of cuddly toys. Was it last week or the week before? Because I was helping a client let go from as many things as possible, training my client how to let go of stuff. And I thought, let's present this as my God. So I picked up a dog's toy, an owl, off the floor. Kind of like Manger, you see it on Facebook. It's kind of all 10 minutes. Sugar. Shit. Picked it up and she held on to it. Now imagine all of that feeling spreading into that owl. And when that feeling is in the owl, let go. Yeah, dissociated quite nicely from it. So all we do is literally help people imagine shit differently. We guide people's imaginations. This lovely book, again, Andy Austin recommended it, Impro by Keith Johnston. I read the first chapter 5 times because every time I read it, I got even more from it. It's brilliant. It's really good. One of his quotes is, don't think of children as immature adults. Think of adults as atrophied children. They tend to imagine things quite nicely. What we're trying to do is not that, this. Or if Melissa Tears was in the room, not this, that, if it's anxiety. There'll be a point as I move towards you, when I get within about 2 feet, you might go, okay, Gaz, back off. Yeah, we've got our personal bubbles. Intensity increases with proximity. The closer I get, the more intense it is. It decreases as we move away. As you think, as I picked this up off Melissa last year when she was talking, I thought, I've got that. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Nick, you're 1 minute out, mate. she says I've got 15. I'm seeing it different. I've been hypnotised. It's perception. I'm imagining shit differently. So not that, this. That will tend to be distant. This will tend to be close. If you're thinking for NLP, the classic swish pattern, not this, that, or that, not that, this, not that, this, not that, this. That's a bit hard work, isn't it? Let's just think about what we need to. This. Don't even think about that, or this. Don't think about the problem. Let's just get them to concentrate on what they need to have happen. Yes, solution, focus therapy. I love the buzzwords we put on things. Focus on what we want to have happen. Okay, not what you don't want to have happen. Whatever you do right now, do not think of me in a pink tutu. You got to think of me in a pink tutu. Negative thinking. It's not Sunday after all. Hold on to a rope. Don't let go. Don't let go. It's not going to end well because we're hearing the thoughts. The motor cortex is going to fire up. Boxer, don't drop your guard. Now thinking about it, it's not a very male way of working. One, just think of me in normal clothes, please. But think of a boxer. Don't drop your guard. Don't drop your guard. The motor cortex will fire up with a representation of drop the guard. I might start dropping the guard at the same time as someone's trying to hit me. I've kind of got a lot going on. How inefficient is that? Isn't it more efficient to be male, simple, and just say guard up, hold tight, positive thinking? Yeah, all of this conspired when I was mountain biking a couple of months back. I ride with a group called Forest Chumps, not Forrest Gump, but Forest Chumps. They're really good mountain bikers, really good. There's a couple of sort of two-wheeled motorbike races, enduro or motocross or whatever it is. Not quite sure the terms. International standard distance enduro or something like that. They're really, really good, skilled guys on bikes. I'm fit. I can keep up with them. I'm not as good as them. It gets me in a lot of trouble. So we're over Tunnel Hill per right way, and it was like a twisty, turny, lefty, righty, lumpy, bumpy, upsy, downsy, really fast in and out the trees on a very fast downhill. I overcooked a 180-degree corner. As I'm going round the berm, I see the tree. I instantly thought, don't hit the tree! And then it all happened at once. The flashing neon sign in my head said, twat. So I knew exactly what I did. The extreme version of tree hugging. The tree did not reciprocate, crumpled heap on the ground. Now what I should have done is gone trail, and think about positive. Now remember that most clients will be thinking about the negative. We want them to think about the positive. How do we do that? Now what we can do is go back to the past, clear up the initial sensitizing event, work all the way through our timeline. That's kind of like a lot of hard work. We'll go there, but only if we have to. We've all got skills to do that. Or we can go into the future and project, get it right in the future, again. But without the past experiences, that kind of becomes hard work as well. Well, what do we do the past and the future? How much work is that? I'm male. Simple. Yeah, simple and lazy. I'd rather just work in the present. I'll go back in the past if I need to. I'll obviously set the better future. But you know something? Just give them a better experience in the present and you can absolutely nail it. So let's fire through my sheet. I've got a whole load of stuff on here. Okay, every one of you right now, if you could, just imagine you're panicking. Panic attack. Okay, I'm going to run up in front of you. I'm going to shock you. The WTF response. Surprise. Look in the eyes. Everything's going to be quite fine. Keep staring at me in the eyes. Put your tongue on the roof of the mouth. Focus on my voice. Follow my instructions. Everything's going to be quite fine. Fine. Lead in. Lighthouse, not tugboat. Lead in by being calm, by being relaxed. Nice and chilled all the way through. Breathe regularly. Same time in to same time out. Same distance in to same distance out. Like you breathe into a metronome. Breathe in with rhythm. As you're breathing regularly, breathe smoothly. Smoothly in to smoothly out. In to out. Gestures. At the same time, breathe as low as you can, center of your chest or even lower, all the way down. At the same time, take your focus to your heart. Don't need to do anything to it, just focus on your heart. Breathing regularly, breathing smoothly, center of chest or even lower, focus on the heart. As I guide you there now with my voice, that's right, guiding with the voice as we do as hypnotists quite nicely. That's a progressive relaxation induction necessary, and that's how you can reverse someone's having a panic attack really quickly. Attract their attention, lead them, calm them down quite nicely. There you go, so you get rid of panic. That breathing, of course, you can relax quite nicely. It really helps if we teach clients. I'm running out of time, so that's why I'm working really quick now. I will overrun if I can, so I'll have a cut point at the end, but then I'll carry on for anyone who wants to stay. Okay. Last year I went on for 45 minutes after 2 hours of sports because I created hypnotic phenomena. I just kept on going. So strategy. So use humour. Okay, cheerfulness in the face of adversity. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? I might mess up my talk. No, it's not going to be that. That's not the worst that could happen. The worst that could happen could be a nightmare of biblical proportions. 4 horsemen of apocalypse turn up. Plague, pestilence, Noah's flood, zombie dead rising. Brains probably go hungry around me. Velociraptors from Jurassic Park come up. No, eating people. All the while, a random lederhosen wearing Austrian Oompa band with their trombones and tubas. Oompa, I hate them. Headed up by One Direction featuring, God damn it, Justin Bieber. That's the worst that could happen. Basically, I go crazy. I goof around like Lee Evans, but without the sweat. They start laughing. As you think about it now, you know what ifs you're thinking about? Deal with it. The answer to any what if is deal with it. But how do you deal with it? That's where the world's greatest psychologist comes in. He's helped more children than even Kelly Woods. He's also a very good builder. His name's Bob. Classic question. Can we fix it? Very clever. The fix it part. It could be, can we fix it? Can we be it? Can we do it? Can we think it? Can we achieve it? It's thinking about the fix it part is what you want to have happen. The can we gets you to think about what you need to do to achieve that want. Very, very clever teaching tale. Now, there's always going to be a way. You just may not have thought of it yet. Keep on imagining stuff. This is why Andy Austin taught me to study improvised theatre. Always think on your feet. Flexibility of thinking. Imagine what you need to get the client to imagine. Yeah? Always going to be a way. The last thing, of course, is the important thing. Take action. Actually take those steps. Helps to train them. Another way of getting rid of anxiety is to switch off the part of the personality that has that fear-based disorder or anxiety. I thought, let's just shut off the voice that tells the person that they are anxious or they're afraid of something, and then expose them to the stimuli. So a lady was claustrophobic, so I basically duct taped the voice that was creating that part of the person, or spoke to that part of the personality, so she couldn't hear, and quite nicely then climbed in the cupboard and then came out. I turned the voice back on. Who then were like, was I in that? And instantly it collapses quite nicely because you know the learning experience that quickly becomes the past. We could help that voice to learn to be different. You can find us Gary Turner blog, Critical Voice 1, Gary Turner blog, Critical Voice 2. Very simple steps to follow, where we can help that voice speak to the person in a calm, controlled, logical, linear fashion. Where we do what we need to do. Stay on the trail rather than don't hit the tree. Fear of dogs with kids. It's quite interesting. Kelly picked up that I was working differently with the kids. So I put a teaching tale on Facebook. I use my huskies with kids with fear of dogs. And there's a 4 or 5 year old. They're quite hard because it's quite hard to say, close your eyes and imagine this. Yeah, they don't tend to follow instructions quite well. So what I did, I stuck Max and Harley Husky, PhD, and Dr. Max Husky. I stuck them outside in the garden, close the curtains, and I showed them lots of pictures of the dogs cuddling kids. and kids cuddling dogs. And then I built up to, this is what I do mountain races with the dogs. We run across snowy fields up mountains. Wow! Starting to get them interested and excited about it. Then I teach them about their behaviour. And then I say, look, watch this. And I go outside and they watch me dictate the dog's behaviour, doing exactly what I told the kid that they'll do. Then I expose the kid to the dogs, and the dogs do exactly what it's the power of mini cheddars. My dogs do anything from mini cheddar. Yeah, look, it's great. I teach the dog, the kid, that they can achieve, that they can work with the dogs. I give them experiential learning, give them the knowledge, so they don't have the, oh my God, it's going to eat me. No, actually, it's going to be your best mate. We literally get them to imagine shit differently. Fast phobia cure. Again, we just imagine it differently. Instead of imagining freaking out, now we're imagining laughter, humour, running backwards, Benny Hill music, playing over the top of it. So just imagine it differently. Spinning feelings, for example, we intensify the feeling, we can take it away. All we're doing is the mind dictating to the body and vice versa. There's all these ways of getting rid of anxiety. Hopefully, from going through the structure, you've got a better understanding now of how to work. As such, you might know where to tap with the hammer. I didn't particularly go into sort of interventions in great depth, because we've all got our ways of working. We've all got our modalities. People who use a lot of progressive relaxation, nice. This is the time to use it, because the client's relaxed. It's very hard for a relaxed client to gain anxiety. You can systemize, desensitize them using their imagination when their body's relaxed. Yeah, you've got a whole host of approaches you can use. Use the right one. You've got the structure. Just help your clients imagine shit differently. Very quickly, in conclusion, we're on this planet for two things genetically: procreation and smiles. And as I tell the youth who come in, you give more the first, you do more the second. But we're here to smile. All the clients come to see us because they want to smile. We help them to imagine shit differently. Let it go, because it doesn't matter. Just do what you need to do to get things right. Remember, we're always work in progress. I've got a Mr. Grumpy mug, just reminding me that I'm still work in progress. Also makes me think what we're not paying attention to, and most importantly, what will we do better in the future? So how about we go out now and look forward to counting our days in smiles? Just a thought. Okay, that's the end of my talk, because I'm 2 minutes over and now cards were going up. I will now be here until the last person leaves. So if you want to fire out any questions or goof anything else more, or ask me anything, or want me to goof around some more, just stick around after the people have gone, and we'll fire it out and get it interactive. Again, guys, just out of interest, I videoed it, and it's on Facebook Live. So if you go to my Facebook page after a couple of hours or whatever it takes for Facebook to render it, you'll be able to get it on my Facebook. I'm Gary Turner, I'm associated with Nick. You can find us on the forums anyway. Hook up, see it, public forum, and you've got it from there. Facebook Live, catch you later. Yeah, because we can probably talk some shit now.